Dynamo, one of the greatest magicians of our times, is quite good at his skills. And that's the reason his magic still remains a mystery to most of us.
Wow.
So, be it his famous fish from a bucket trick, or walking through a glass trick. Hello and welcome back. And today we're going to unlock the top secrets behind Dynamo's greatest magic tricks of all time. So, let's get started. At number 5, Scarf Through Phone Trick. Dynamo is one person who can impress girls like no one else.
Oh my gosh.
And that's all because of his great magic skills, and here is one of his amazing tricks. He takes a scarf from a lady and holds it in both his hands. Then he borrows a phone from that same lady and steps behind to perform this trick. Now, holding the phone behind the scarf with his left hand, he makes that scarf penetrate right through that phone, thus shocking us all. So, how did he do it? Well, before revealing the secret, if you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon so that you can get instant notifications of our new video uploads. Now, let's get to the secret. If you see carefully, Dynamo first holds the scarf with both his hands, and during the camera angle change, he brings the scarf on to his right hand. And this hand switch forms the key part of the trick. And this is how he holds the scarf in his right hand, which you can make out the way he holds the scarf in that hand. Now, after taking the phone from that lady, he carefully places it in that loop between the scarf, with the illusion that the phone is behind the scarf. In addition to all of this, there's one important gimmick which makes this trick look even more convincing. That gimmick is this P-shaped piece of plastic, which is quite easy to prepare. And it is this plastic loop that Dynamo puts over the screen, with the phone brightness turned on. He then slips the scarf carefully inside that plastic loop, holds it tight with his left hand, and goes on to perform the trick that amazes us all. At number 4, Fish from a Bucket Trick. Dynamo, the famous magician, once performed a trick in South Africa with just an empty bucket. Here's what he did. He picked up a bucket, showed it to the crowd and the TV audience that it was empty. He then tilts the bucket downwards, shakes it, and a small fish comes out. The audience have their first "how did he do it" moment. Pointing downwards, Dynamo then shakes the bucket even more, and as you can see, more and more fish come out. He continues to shell out hundreds and hundreds of fish and keeps doing this for more than 30 seconds, and then finally stops. Now, as you can see here, the number of fishes that came out was just mind-blowing, and you can easily figure out the fish quantity to be more than twice the size of that bucket. Most people who see this trick on their screens assume one of two things. 1. The magician has some kind of supernatural powers, or 2. How did he actually perform such a humanly impossible trick? Well, here's the secret. The quantity of fish that Dynamo brings out is just not possible with a single bucket. This also confirms that he uses more than one bucket to perform this trick. But even then, to produce that much quantity of fish, there's got to be some kind of mechanism inside the bucket. Let's see what's inside the bucket. There are 2 types of buckets used for the fish production, and they are all gimmick buckets. The first empty bucket was used for the single fish production, and the next few for large fish production. The second and third bucket can hold around 60 to 70 fish each. To produce the single fish, the bucket used is 2-layered and designed in such a way that it can hold up to 3 or 4 fish. It also has a flap inside, which creates a small pocket in the bucket, through which a single fish is released when Dynamo shakes it for the first time. When the bucket is brought upright again, the pocket closes. After producing that single fish, Dynamo waits for a moment, and thereafter keeps on producing fish for quite some time. Now, if you see carefully, there are quite a few camera cuts and angle changes involved in this footage. And it is during these camera cuts that the gimmick buckets are exchanged. Here's how the large fish production was performed. The bucket used here has a mirror placed at a fixed angle, and the fish are placed behind that mirror. The angle of the mirror is such that it reflects back the surface of the bucket onto the mirror. This creates the illusion that the bucket is indeed empty. The mirror also has a movable flap door attached at its bottom, and it's through this flap door that the fishes are released one by one at a quick speed. Now, when Dynamo shakes the bucket, the flap door, which has a hinge, opens and closes at a quick speed for every fish released. Also, to prevent the fish from getting out from the sides of the flap, they are placed inside a plastic bag so that it gets out only from the back of the mirror. The flap also has a cutting at its corner for its smooth movement. And this is how it actually works. In between another camera cut or angle change, Dynamo exchanges the third bucket with a similar mechanism to produce even more fish. Here, the illusion created is such that the TV audience gets to see lots and lots of fish produced using only a single empty bucket. So this is how the trick was performed. Now, there must be questions in your mind as to how come the audience present there didn't notice the buckets being exchanged. Here, we can only assume that the whole setup was pre-planned with most of the audience members being aware of it, as this trick was performed just once by Dynamo, and to date, it was never performed again. Hope you got the explanation. At number 3, walking through glass. At a glitzy party in London, and under the watchful gaze of Rio Ferdinand, Dynamo performed a trick where he somehow managed to walk through a glass window before re-emerging on the pavement on the other side of the shop window. Obviously, you can't do that. But Dynamo did it in front of many people. And here's the little secret behind this trick. The one thing that is obvious in this trick is the fact that the two bouncers who held Dynamo's jacket up to create a shoulder-high screen are also involved with Dynamo in the trick and are already aware of it. And the man on the right side is also in on this trick, as he also can see what happens behind that screen. Now, it is most likely that the solid glass window pane had a secret hatch at its bottom, which Dynamo could have opened while he was covered. And here's how the gimmicked sliding glass window worked. The glass window pane is much larger than it appears on the front. It has a solid section at the top and a cutout section in the lower half that is hidden by the coat screen. Dynamo would then slip through that cutout, and the cutout section was slid back to its original position just before the coat screen was removed. But if Dynamo's in a high street shop, isn't that a lot of investment to build in a gimmick wall to do just one trick? So, here's another possible explanation to this trick. Dynamo actually walks around the window right off camera to an open door, and the bouncer with the long jacket is in on the trick, as you can notice how he steps back until his jacket is touching the other jacket and it's all covered. And this is when Dynamo makes his move, walks past him out the door, and crawls past him outside the window. But then, there are people inside and also outside the shop. Obviously, for the people inside, it doesn't matter what's the real reason behind this trick. They only saw Dynamo before and after the screen was raised and were amused by it. And the reason no one outside reacts is they just see a guy crawling out a door and standing up looking at his reflection. Now, isn't that a more reasonable solution than an entire gimmicked window? Let us know in the comments below. At number 2, coin through table trick. Dynamo performed this magic trick with a couple in a restaurant. He gets a coin and places it over the glass table. Dynamo asks the man to put his hand below the glass table exactly where the coin is placed. Dynamo then moves his right hand above the coin, and here's the magic. The coin is now on the other side of the glass, in the man's hand. Here's how Dynamo amazed this couple with the coin. This trick is pretty simple and requires fast movement and accuracy without being caught. Dynamo actually has the same two coins, one in his right hand that you can see he is actually hiding in this entire trick, and the other coin that he places over the glass table. In his right hand, Dynamo has a strong magnet that can hold a coin even with a glass in between. After placing the coin in the center of the table, he places his right hand flat over the table which has the magnet. and then sticks his other hand with the coin in it exactly below the hand above. Once the coin is held by the magnet above the glass, he behaves normally and also makes a check that there is no hole in the glass and everything is real. He then asks the man to place his hand below the coin with some gap between the glass and his hand. The gap allows the coin to move using the magnet to get the coin exactly under the coin placed above. Dynamo then removes his hand and the coin falls in the man's hand. Wondering where the coin above went? Well, it's simple. The above coin got stuck onto the magnet that he had in his right hand, and as he moved his hand away from the glass, the coin placed below the glass using the magnet above fell on the man's hand. So finally, Dynamo's number one trick in our list: turning incense stick to fire. Dynamo, during his India tour, performed a trick where he buys a pack of incense sticks from a shopkeeper, takes out one piece of stick, and tells a person to hold that stick and look closely. Dynamo then does some magical gesture, and to everyone's shock, that incense stick catches fire. So, how did he do it? Well, here's the secret. Before this trick was performed, Dynamo had already convinced the shopkeeper to give him that exact pack of sticks he wanted for the trick. And yes, the sticks inside that pack are all gimmicked sticks. And here is how the stick was prepared. First, the incense stick was cut to a point where he wanted it to catch fire. Then, using paper, he prepared an exact replica, which was a little longer than the cutout piece. He then covered and stuck that replica piece over the incense stick, making sure it looks like one single incense stick. Now, you must be thinking, how come the stick caught fire? And that fire is the result of a chemical reaction, when glycerine and potassium permanganate are mixed together. Now, the secret must be crystal clear to you. The replica piece attached at the top of the stick was filled with potassium permanganate. And before handing over the stick to that man, Dynamo already had some glycerin on his fingers, which he rubbed it well on the replica piece at the top, thus making sure the chemical reaction takes place and the magic happens. So guys, hope you enjoyed the secrets behind some of Dynamo's greatest magic tricks. Which Dynamo trick did you like the most? We think Dynamo is the greatest magician ever. Who do you think is the greatest? Let us know in the comments below. Do like and share this video with your friends on social media. For more such amazing things, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. And finally, thanks for watching.